Today's episode is a must listen for every mom who's ever felt burned out, overwhelmed, or just plain tired. Dr. Sheryl Ziegler is a licensed clinical psychologist, TEDx speaker, and author of Mommy Burnout, a groundbreaking book on reclaiming your life while raising healthier kids. She's back with a brand new book called The Crucial Years, and she's here to talk about mental health, connection, and navigating modern childhood. Whether you've seen her on NBC, heard her on the pod couch, or you're meeting her for the very first time today, you're in for a powerful conversation packed with insights, validation, and hope. Now let's get to work. May is Women's Health Month, and now is the perfect time to remind you to get your annual screenings and exams. Advent Health for Women is here to make it easy for you because life can get busy. The Women's Health Navigation Team is a complimentary service that can help you schedule your annual Well Woman exam, find a new provider, or get that appointment that you've been putting off. This team of registered nurses can also help you answer questions and match you with the best doctor for you based on your personal preferences and insurance. So let Advent Health for Women's Health Navigators help you check one item off your to-do list. Visit herhealthnavigator.com to get started today. Welcome to the She Believes She Could podcast. I'm your host, Allison Walsh. This show is dedicated to helping you show up, shine bright, and achieve abundant success. Each episode is packed with advice and actionable resources to elevate your mindset, confidence, business, and brand, all while focusing on your happiness, well-being, and success. I am so excited that you're here. I can't wait to get started, so let's get to work. Sheryl, I am so excited that you are here with us today. Would you mind just sharing a little bit more about yourself with our audience?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I am Dr. Sheryl Ziegler. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist. I am out of Denver, Colorado. I run a private practice there that's focused on kids and families. And so that's really by training who I am. And then the things that I do, I write, I like to write books. I like to speak and communicate. So I do a lot of speaking to companies or doing media segments around everything from mental health in children to stress and the impacts on parents and burnout and resiliency and all sorts of things. So
all the things that we need to be talking about all of the time.
Yes.
I'm so grateful that we were able to grab some time. You're actually speaking at the Mom 2.0 conference this weekend. And, I think the topics that you are passionate about are so critically important for us to create dialogue around, not just at certain times of year, but all of the time. And I think that, as moms especially, it's critically important that we have these conversations and they're at the forefront. So I'm grateful that you're sharing all of your wisdom with the audience at the conference, but I'm very, very excited about our conversation today because burnout is something that I've experienced and I know so many of our listeners have too. So why don't we start there and we'll work our way through all of the amazing things that you can share with us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell the story of how I came into burnout because I've been practicing literally over 20 years, well over 20 years. And there's a couple of things, when I first started my training, we didn't really use the term mental health. Let's start with that. That wasn't a term. It was like it's psychology or psychological science or, those kind of things. But also there really wasn't a focus on stress. I think that I would have thought 25 years ago, well, stress is just a part of life.
Mm-hmm.
And but I'm studying the hard stuff, really diagnostic kind of issues. There's been such an evolution. So what happened was I run my private practice. Moms I saw, it's usually moms come and bring their kids in. And so starting from the first phone call, I will say, a lot of times when they're getting off the phone, when I'm doing a referral screening, they'll say, "Oh my gosh, I feel better already." Or, "Haha, maybe it's really me, the one that needs therapy, not my kid." That was a theme, right? So when you're a psychologist, you're kind of a social scientist, like a forever curious person. So it's I noted that, a common joke, but there's truth in every jest. And so, so I started noticing that. And I would say that started in 2005 or something, I just started observing this. And then what happened was I then had my first kid and I was in pure joy because I had been through infertility issues. I was, already at the time kind of a little bit of an older mom and I was just over the moon. So that was kid number one. And then kid number two came and all of a sudden I felt like I was drowning. And that was the closest, most consistent metaphor that I could think of, or analogy, is just like I was drowning and I would come up for breaths of air, but I knew that I was going to be going back under real soon. And then it all connected for me. All these years of listening to other women, moms say, they would say the very most common things were, I feel like I'm not happy anywhere. Is this all there is? I was dreaming of, whatever, having the marriage and the baby. And now that I'm here, why aren't I happy? A lot of women qualify themselves. They don't do it anymore if they've read my work, but they used to. And they used to say things like, I have an MBA, or I went to an Ivy League school, or I ran a business, or I something, basically saying I was more than or bigger than this. And now look at me. I have a 3-year-old or a 13-year-old. I'm totally in over my head. I feel like such an amateur. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't feel competent. And so I was like, oh, I got it. And I felt the same way. So that what led to that was just me starting to write a book proposal. And then I got an agent, and the working title of my first book was Modern Day Motherhood. And she's like, no, that's not going to be the title. She's like, you need to name this. This is a condition. And I was like, a condition? I'm going to name a condition. And so we took a little bit, and then I started going back. Now, this is something that I did study. In the 1970s, they were studying nurses and doctors in emergency rooms, and because they were seeing a pattern that there was high turnover. People didn't last in these positions very long, and so they wanted to study it. And when they did, they named burnout. So burnout being the chronic stress that you experience when you feel like you are no longer good at your job, or that you don't even know how to do it. And so you get resentful and you become really cynical, and eventually you sort of just leave. And I thought, except for the fact that you can leave, you can't literally leave as a parent. I think that's what parents are going through. I think this is like a mom burnout thing. And that's how the title of the book came, but it isn't just a title. It really has then become my work, really to focus on that chronic stress piece. So that's the whole backstory.
Oh, but it's so needed in this world, right? And because there needs to be a name to it. People need to understand it, right? And I think that when you're going through it, you almost feel bad for going through it. So that was the other thing that I experienced when I'm my peak of burnout was a year into the pandemic. Right? Where it's I'm trying to keep the team afloat. We're trying to continue to build the company. We're trying to maintain jobs. We're trying to, and the irony is that we're working in the mental health space, right?
Yes.
And so we're, in the business of helping other people who are struggling. And so you look around and you're like, why do I feel like this? I shouldn't feel like this. In the whole grand scheme of things, I'm blessed, I'm lucky. So then there was that on top of it. But at the end of the day, you have to take care of yourself. And if you don't do the necessary things to heal, it's just going to keep happening and happening and happening. So then from that point, now that you've been doing this, right, for a period of time, there's so much related to stress, and there's so much, that needs to be, highlighted, because stress and chronic stress can really reduce your lifespan. There's so many complications. So for those that are listening, what are some of the things that have been helpful for your clients and that you've also seen help through the work that you've been doing?
I think one of the most helpful things has been, I want to rebrand the terms, either oh my God, I'm so stressed out, or I'm totally burned out, right? Because what happens is they're so normalized now that if I'm in a conversation with you and you say, oh, how are you? How's it going? Oh my gosh, you're launching a book next month. How's it going? Right. And I say, oh, I'm so stressed out. All you're going to do is nod your head, probably, right? I'm using you as an example, and say, yeah, me too. Me too. Yeah, me too. I'm growing my business. Oh, it's so much, right? And then we're going to go on our day. And what I want to do is really reframe this for people. I want you to hear this. The next time someone says to you, I am so stressed out, or I'm so burned out, I want you to hear, I am increasing cortisol running through my body, leading to greater heart disease. I am currently increasing my chance of stroke. I am currently disengaging from the people that I love the most in life. I am currently not taking care of any of my own needs. I'm not eating well and I'm not sleeping well, which is also causing my brain fog or lack of attention. Like, I want people to hear the science, the truth behind what it means to say you are chronically stressed.
Yeah, no, that's powerful too, because that really magnifies the issue and it brings it to the forefront. And as human beings, we need to care for one another. And if that's what we're hearing, we need to say something. So then how do you follow that up? Like, what's your advice? Say you have somebody dear in your life and you're noticing some of these things, right? I've recently had a conversation with somebody that I adore when I was recognizing the signs and symptoms and brought it to their awareness. But what else can we do? Or what do you recommend the empathetic response being in order to be able to say, like, how can I help you?
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like, the first thing is it's sort of like the response when someone says, if you say, how are you? And they say to you, you know what? I've actually been better. I'm having a health scare right now. Something came up on my mammogram and I have to go back, or I'm getting it biopsied, right? We wouldn't say, oh yeah, like me too,
Right.
like, and go on. We would be like, oh my gosh, that must be so scary. I'm so sorry to hear that. I want to support you. How can I support you? And so I want people to hear that, even if you feel like, but I do have a me too. Okay. Or if you are in it, say to somebody, you know what? I'm really stressed out too. And I'm trying to really change that because I don't want to die of a heart attack. I mean, that's one of the things we're learning. We're learning, we're getting the message of is how, heart disease is the number one killer of women. Well, chronic stress impacts your heart health. And so say to somebody, if you live by them, you know what? I've got a lot of stressful things going on with my life too. Why don't we start walking together a couple mornings a week? Why don't we, if it's somebody who's long distance, why don't we do a FaceTime on a weekend? And what you're saying is that's not a nicety. That is a prescription, right? One of the best things we can do for our health is be in connection and relationship with others. And so it doesn't have to sound weird. Like, well, I heard that, if you and I spend time together, it's like, let's be in connection. Let's do something together. Let's walk together. If you work with somebody, let's say, right? Because there's all different levels of intimacy that you have with people. And so when they say, I'm so stressed out, I want people to hear what it sounds like when it's your sister, your mother, your best friend, your neighbor, your sister, your mom friend, like all the different people. And if it's someone you work with, right, you can just say, you want to start doing like a little lunch bunch thing together where like we challenge each other to like bring in healthy meals and healthy snacks for each other. And I do this because I work with companies, right? And I say at the end of a talk, when we're in the actionable part, I say, your call to action is to find an accountability buddy, because that is the way you're going to make changes. So whether it's January 1st and we're talking about New Year's resolutions and goals, or it's any time of the year that you want to make a change, we all know when we don't maybe know this term, but we know when we stress, we regress. The higher the stress level, the more you're going to go back to whatever it is, drinking wine at night, smoking, whatever it is, scrolling on social media, whatever it is that you do, because all of those things are an attempt to regulate a dysregulated person, right? That's what they are meant for. Oh, I'm nervous, I'll have a drink. I'm stressed, I'll have some nicotine, whatever it might be. So really finding that accountability person, saying to somebody, so again, I'm back into the role. You just told me you're really, really stressed. Me saying, you know what? Of course, I have been there. I know the toll that it takes. I had my own path of how I'm getting through it. I have to work on it every day, right? So I'm giving you a lot of empathy, like you're not alone. And then I'm going to say something in terms of accountability, like, why don't we make it a point? Let's walk Tuesday, Thursday mornings. Come on, no excuses. Or Monday, Wednesday mornings. Like, so doing something like that, that simple walk, the walk-in talks as I call them, that's pure therapy right there.
Yeah,
you are in
makes the
connection.
difference.
It's a huge difference. It really, really is. And then in that sense, you might be more open to saying, hey, you mentioned that you were in a really stressful time last year. Well, what was that about? What did you do? Right. And so I'm not giving you advice. I'm just experience sharing with you. This is what worked for me. This is what was challenging for me. I know when I do my lunches or my walk-in talks or my long conversations with friends, I'm literally better off. Even if before I thought, oh, in this hour, I could be doing this or that. I'm always better for it. I'm literally healthier for it. I'm wiser. I'm literally filled. Like we tell our kids, how do you fill your bucket? That's how women fill their buckets. As busy as you are never, ever too busy for connection.
May is Women's Health Month, and now is the perfect time to remind you to get your annual screenings and exams. Advent Health for Women is here to make it easy for you because life can get busy. The Women's Health Navigation Team is a complimentary service that can help you schedule your annual Well Woman exam, find a new provider, or get that appointment that you've been putting off. This team of registered nurses can also help you answer questions and match you with the best doctor for you based on your personal preferences and insurance. So let Advent Health for Women's Health Navigators help you check one item off your to-do list. Visit herhealthnavigator.com to get started today.
Yeah, well, and I can personally attest to this example specifically. So my best friend, I call him, 2 or 3 times a week as I'm on my walk at the end of the day. And it makes a massive difference because it allows us to, number one, connect, right?
Yeah.
And just enjoy each other, even if we both had hard days or whatever it is. But it's also that comfort and that accountability. And we check in with each other, right? And we're able to identify like the checkup from the neck up of like, how are you really doing?
Mm-hmm.
And that part of my day, I look so forward to because it also allows me to process some of the things that otherwise would keep me up at night, and it's
Yes.
just those little things. And it's 10 minutes.
Yes.
Like I have a very small neighborhood. I do 1 lap, right? But
Right.
that 10 minutes is like a massive game changer for me. And I can notice when I don't do that. And I also have shared with my family how important those 10 minutes are for me to be able to just have a break, go do the thing, and then come back and get everybody to bed and all of those necessaries that happen at the end of the day. But it's a game changer and I can't skip it. And I know that about myself. So those things are so valuable. And I'm grateful that we had the chance to talk about that. And I want to talk about, okay, so you have the crucial years and you've got so many cool things going on. So can we pivot just to hear more about what you're working on?
Yeah, absolutely. So, once Mommy Burnout came out, that was actually 2018. It was 7 years ago. It's like impossible to imagine that. But it's what's happened is I love history, as you could tell. But just for like a context of how I got to the crucial years and what I'm doing is like 2018, Mommy Burnout came out. And honestly, I think it's hard to say this, but a little ahead of my time. Because when you're, running a clinic, you see what's really going on, but that means that people probably are not yet talking about those things outside of a therapy room. So 2018 comes, February 2018, it comes out. May of 2018, burnout is declared a syndrome from the World Health Organization. So that was really huge.
Divine timing.
Yes, divine timing. And then 2020 happens, right? So by April of 2020, I'm getting calls from companies and organizations around the world, right? First time I ever spoke, what was my first? It was like either India or like is somewhere in Africa, Nigeria. I mean, it was like, wow. What is happening right now? But it was like, we're looking for experts in burnout, right? And so, okay, that happens 2020. I'm full 2020, beginning of 2021, full focus on burnout, chronic stress. I mean, literally doing 5-6 media segments a week on just, people are basically like, what are we supposed to do for ourselves, for our kids, for our companies, all the things. But then 2021 comes. So now we have a new milestone in May of 2021 where the American Psychiatric Association, the whole network of children's hospitals declares a youth mental health state of emergency. Had never been done before in 118 years that these organizations have existed. So now we're at state of emergency levels. And I know that I didn't not work one single day during the pandemic. We quickly, for a couple months, went virtual. And then in the summer of 2020, I saw people in camping chairs in a park. That's how I saw people.
I love it. Make it accessible.
Yes. And they all basically were like, hey, why don't we do this all the time? They
Nature?
thought it was awesome. And nobody bothered us. Everybody was walking because that was the only time you could kind of get out. And no one bothered us. Never once, never had a ball kicked over. Like literally was never disrupted. And we would have sessions till dusk. I mean, because I would see people till, 8:00 at night. So, but we had a mental health state of emergency and I knew I had to be responsive to that. So for like, honestly, a while, like 6-9 months, I'm tossing around ideas, playing around with ideas of what am I going to do to respond to the state of emergency. And I was, we're really focused on teens. And that I do work with tweens and teens, but I just thought, there are already good books out about teens. And for some reason, I just didn't want my response to the crisis to be, all right, they're depressed, suicidal, cutting, been in a psych hospital. What do you do? I just felt like, but that's behind the ball. So a couple things came together and it really dawned on me. I want to prevent the mental health crisis from continuing. I want to prevent these things from happening, because if I write a book and, books that will take 2 years to come out, we're still going to have teens that are in high stress. They get a lot of attention. There's a lot of research on them. It just all came together that middle childhood. So teens are adolescents, right? And then there's infancy, there's toddlerhood. But middle childhood is, first of all, something that I'd say 9 out of 10 people are like, what? Middle school, you mean? No, not middle school, middle childhood. And what is that? And I'm like, middle childhood is this incredible, literal golden age of opportunity. It's ages 6 to 12. That in my field of psychology, we refer to them as the forgotten years. Freud said the stage of middle childhood is, he called it latency, right? To be latent, quiet. Things are quiet. They're not yet sexual. They are through being a toddler and, his other stages that he referred to, latency. And maybe over 100 years ago, it was more latent. But it is not at all latent now for many reasons, one of them being earlier puberty. And earlier puberty talks is something I've been doing for 12 years. And it was like, oh, yeah, my agent said to me, you've been doing this puberty talk, this mother-daughter puberty talk for 12 years. Let's combine it. And it was like, It just clicked in 1 hour. It was like, yes, this is it. So basically what I want to do, that the spirit of the book, the end of each chapter is like a looking ahead. And it's almost like the roadmap to a healthier adolescence, right? And we're not going to change adolescence. We don't want to change adolescence. That's your time of identity. Who am I? But what comes before, which I will say, I'd say 9.9 out of 10 people have no idea. Like everyone knows, like when you're a teenager, you're figuring yourself out, right? However you put it, we all get it though. It's about identity. Who am I? The stage before, people don't know. It's like, they're going to school.
Yeah, but it's so formative, right? And you're starting to see patterns and things that are warning signs and symptoms that,
yes.
Wow, if you can get ahead of some of that stuff.
Yes. And if you can do the stage, well, every stage does have its purpose. And the stage before who am I is what am I good at? So Eric Erickson called it in industry versus inferiority. And what that means is at the end, at 12-ish, give or take, but 12 is the age, you are supposed to come out of that stage knowing I'm either industrious, hey, give me something broken, I can fix it. Give me, kids that aren't getting along, I know what to do, whatever. I can do dishes, I can clean a car, I can, hit a golf ball, whatever it is. You should know, a kid should know at 12 either what they're good at, or if they do not, they come out inferior. And that's a term. So industrious and inferior aren't terms today we use so much, but in the 1950s when these theories were being created and they have stood the test of time, we have modern day terms. Industrious means high self-esteem today, and inferior would be low self-esteem. So if you can get a kid, if we can start thinking, am I doing things that are in alignment with raising a child that knows, that has a can-do attitude, that I'm not just pumping up with, this is an interesting parenting thing that has become popular over the last decade, which is like to really pump your kid up verbally, like, yeah, buddy,
you can do everything.
You can do it. You can do anything. You're so amazing. Like, no, that doesn't change. That doesn't move the needle. If right now you tell me that you can say to me, I can do something, that might pique my interest. Like, you know what? I think you could do that. I'd be like, okay, I'm a little interested, and I'm an adult. But if you say to me, I'm going to show you, and you're going to do it, and you're going to prove to yourself that you can do it, now I've got some self-esteem. But if you just tell me you can go do anything you want, I'm going to sit at home for the next year, be anxious about it.
Right.
right? And probably freeze and not do it. So the thing about the crucial years is that it's really this call to action for parents today to say, first of all, we have a mental health shortage. If you want to get your kid help, depending on where you are in the country, you might not be able to.
Treatment deserts
Yep.
all over the place.
You might not be able to afford it. You might not be able to find it. If you have, if you're culturally diverse, there's very little representation. There's a lot of barriers, insurance, the whole thing. There's a lot of barriers. And so the book is the spirit is first of all, let's not make these the forgotten years. They are way too important. We have way too many teens that are struggling and kids at this age. We've got earlier puberty, 7 and 8 years old for girls, 8 and 9 years old for boys. We've got overexposure to everything in life
Yes.
on your iPad, right? You've got 18-month-olds that know how to whip around an iPad, and we've got the average age of 8 when a kid in America gets a smartphone. We've got everything's happening earlier, right? That's why I'm sure we've all heard in our social circles, oh my God, my kid's 8 going on 18.
Yeah.
Who knew a third grade girl? That's when bullying starts.
It is. I have a 9-year-old.
You have a 9-year-old
right now. Yeah.
Somebody asked me, they go, can your next book just be titled Third Grade? I was like, sure. I mean, that's how much is happening at 9 years old for girls and 10, about 10 and 4th grade for boys. These are not middle school issues. This book is not a middle school book. It actually ends in 6th grade. So if you're a parent, this is a kinder through 6th grade kind of book. And it sets in motion healthy habits, better regulation, better parenting, in that we are going to hopefully have the call to action to stop doing things for our kids, right? And let them do it for themselves.
Well, I'm very excited about it. So I'm very grateful that I have a copy with me right now.
Yes.
And it is the most perfect timing because we are in the thick of it. And I am noticing that what a pivotal year 3rd grade is. And I didn't have the same viewpoint on it when my oldest went through it because it was the pandemic and things were just different, right? Like now that I've got my middle going through it, I'm like, whoa, this is a lot. So I am very grateful. And we love to ask everybody as we wrap up, one of our favorite questions is, what does confidence mean to you?
Oh, I love that. I think confidence to me means knowing who you are, what you want to do, who you want to surround yourself with right now. And knowing that can change, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not going to worry that last year it was something different or that next year it might be. Confidence for me is like, I know who I am, who I want to be with, what I want to do in this moment. And I'm going to be present and sort of invested in myself in this moment. So I guess it's somewhat intentional and present knowing.
I love that. Thank you. That's beautiful. And then where should people find you, follow you, connect with you? Because I'm sure you have piqued a lot of people's interest today.
Oh, good. Yes. You can find me on Instagram. Basically every handle's at Dr. Sheryl Ziegler. I just launched a Substack, and my book can be bought and found anywhere. And I've got a website, drsherylziegler.com. So You'll find me.
Yes, we will link everything in the show notes too. Thank you so much for being on the show today. We're so grateful for you.
Thanks for having me.
And that's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you found inspiration, insight, and maybe even that little push that you needed to keep moving towards your goals. Remember, you are capable, you are worthy, and you are meant for more. Whatever dreams are on your heart, keep showing up, keep believing, and keep taking action, because the world needs what only you can bring. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you'd take a moment to subscribe, leave a review, or share it with a friend who needs to hear this message today. And if you want to keep the conversation going, please connect with me over on Instagram at Allison Walsh. I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway. We've also got some awesome freebies that we've linked in the show notes, so make sure that you take advantage of them. Until next time, keep believing in yourself, keep shining bright, and never forget, I believe in you 1000%, and my goal is that you do too. Take care, beautiful. We'll see you next time.